He's talking about influence, how a person can influence you to do something that you really don't want to do. I remember when I was about 16, and as I said in one of my videos, I was homeless, and I had went to move over my um, aunt house. Well, when I moved over there, I was happy to see my mother, my brothers, and my baby sister, Darnell. And I remember saying, hi, saying hi to my sisters. My sister, I hadn't seen her in a long time. And I was speaking to my brothers. They was little. I have two brothers younger than me and two brothers older than me. And I remember saying hi to them, and they said hi. And I spoke to my mother, and she just looked at me and went upstairs. Um, I was used to my mother's just, I don't even know how to describe it. She was just always so detached from her children. So I was used to the abandonment, being abandoned from her. But it did still affected me a little bit. Um, Me and my aunt had sat at the dining room table, and we were just talking and everything. I was telling her about my experience while living in Johnny's house, how he would abuse me, and, just, venting. And she was telling me, little things about what was going on with her. But the whole time we was talking, I didn't know that my aunt was a party girl. Um, Later on that day, we had went to the bar. Now, this was my first time ever being in a bar. I was 16 years old. And when I went in the bar, after being abused by my boyfriend for so long, I just felt like I was free as a bird. I mean, just free. And I started to get a lot of attention, you know, from my looks, my body size, and what have you. I went in that bar like a sheep among wolves. I didn't know um, how that one night would change my entire life. Um, I'm sitting at the bar, and my aunt, she's putting, these drinks in front of me, because at this point I didn't know how to talk to a man or whatever, because everybody in the bar was like older. They was like, I was 16, my aunt was 26. These guys was like maybe my aunt age, or, older, maybe a few years younger. But I know wasn't nobody in that bar 16 like I was. So I didn't know what to do. My aunt had put me down, before we even walked in the bar, but I was just really shy. But anyway, once I got that drink up in me, I started to loosen up and, you know, just let it all hang out. I mean, I just was acting like any person that, was drunk or damn near drunk. I became increasingly flirtatious, touchy-feely, and the guys just loved it. So make a long story short, uh, my aunt had went to one motel with a guy, and I had went to another with another guy. And the next day, I came home. She was there when I got there. And I asked her for a cigarette. And she said, you mean to tell me you've been, having sex all night? She didn't say it in those words. having sex all night and you don't have a cigarette, you didn't get no money. And I looked at her and I said, was I supposed to? And she said, yeah, use what you got and make them pay for what they get. And that ringed in my mind, because when she told me that I was supposed to get money for sex, I felt stupid. I felt used, you know. So the next time we went to the bar, I took her advice, and I wound up getting or being with a man that night, and he paid me for sex. And from that time on, um, I was influenced or told, to, get money. If you're going to have sex, get money. And there's a bunch of guys out there that was just waiting for somebody like me. But I thought I was smart. And some people say, well, how much did you get paid when you was having sex with these guys or whatever? And I said, it depends. It depends on, what they wanted. I was the type, when I would sell my body for money, that I refused to do oral sex. And some people say, girl, you was out there doing your thing and you didn't suck wiener. And I'm like, no, I didn't do it. They could take it or leave it, but I was not. I hated doing that. I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the stuff that came out of it. I didn't understand why the stuff was coming out of it. And just looked nasty to me. And I was never a wiener sucker. Never. I didn't like it. I mean, I would pretty much be open up to anything else but that. So people say, well, I was told, well, you wasn't a prostitute. And that just tripped me out, because I always thought that prostitute means somebody selling their body. You know what I'm saying? It didn't. It doesn't necessarily have to be sucking ding-a-ling to make it a full act of sex. You know what I mean? I've had guys that paid me just for touching my breasts, or just for a kiss. I mean, whatever they wanted from me, they had to pay. And that was just the bottom line. I became money hungry. I became greedy. I started stealing from these people. I was doing it so much that you might as well say I had Johns. I called them my Johns. They would call me, ask me, what was I doing tonight? Of course, nothing. It depended on how much money they was going to pay me. I'm not going to sit here and say that I made thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, because I didn't. I made enough to survive. I was sneaky. I got to the point where I didn't want to do what I was doing. But then when I got a drink up in me, it just made it easier. That's what I'm talking about, influence. Somebody can say something to you that can change your whole world. I got to a point where, that was my way of life for a long time, because I felt like working a respectable job wasn't paying much. And plus I stayed drunk so much, whereas though I couldn't hold down a job anyway. When the first time I realized that I was an alcoholic, I was 18 years old. When I realized I couldn't stop, I was 18 years old. I guess what I'm trying to say is, people will tell you things to make you feel stupid, but being as though you want to be accepted and loved and, be treated a certain way or feel equal to that person, because that was my problem. I wanted to feel equal to my aunt. I thought she was the wisest person on earth. You know, I mean, she had girlfriends with her that um, was just as, well, just like her. I wanted to be like my aunt because I loved her and I respected her. And in many ways, I was like her, you know. But as time passed, and when you look back on your life and you see the things that you could have done, or the things that she could have said to you other than, you know, get money for your body or whatever. And that, for a long time, even in my 30s, I thought that that was cute. I even like would tell, uh, you know, people very, you know, passionately about when I used to prostitute. Um, I would go in the bar and it'd be old music playing, you know, music from the 40s and 50s. And, you know, as I grew older, my girlfriends be like, girl, you listening to that old shit? Excuse my language. And I was like, yeah, I've been listening to it, you know, off and on since I was 16 years old. You know, you go into the bar and that's what was playing. Music from the 40s. I'll say music from the 50s, music from the 60s. You know, I wasn't born into 65, so I basically grew up in the 70s and 80s, you know, on up. So I've learned basically uh, not only how to survive far as the streets, you know, learning how to eat, learning how, I mean, I've had some bad experiences, you know, with making my money. Um, it was only by the graces of God that I survived. It was only by the graces of God that I survived that. I would get in anybody's car. I'd go anywhere with anybody. You know, long as they promised to give me money, I would get in that car and go with them. My daughter, I have one daughter. And I was on her so bad. I was such of a hard parent um, to her because I did not want her to grow up like me. Um, I had little to no education, didn't know pretty much nothing. When you're young, you think you know everything. And older adults look at you, or older people look at you like you stupid. Because if you think you know everything at 16, you are stupid. Because you don't know everything. You haven't experienced enough. You know, and then your character shows a lot about you when you're 16 in terms of, do you love your mother? Do you hit your mother? Do you cuss your mother out? Do you embarrass your mother? Do you purposely hurt your mother's feelings? You know, what about your father? Treat him bad. You know, that shows a lot about your character. Um, my daughter told me one day, she said, Ma, because I told her, I said, don't get pregnant. I'm letting you know this now. Don't get pregnant. I cannot handle you getting pregnant. I will hurt you if you get pregnant. I did any and everything I could do to stop her, threaten her, whatever. And then when my daughter had her first baby, she was 20 years old and married. And that's how I wanted it to be. She told me when she first met her husband, she told me that he asked her, do you have any children? And she said, no. I said, didn't that make you feel good? She said, yeah, mine did. And that's how I wanted her to be, a lady, a respectable lady. I influenced her, but I influenced her to do the right thing, the right way. You know, have some dignity, have some pride. You know, my daughter, we've had some rough times in our relationship because my daughter, just like any other, you know, person, my daughter is now 32 years old. And even now, she sometimes don't listen to me. But then she'll call me, Ma, you was right. You know, I love my daughter. I loved her enough to let her know what life is all about. Outside that door, is the big bad world, and it shows no mercy. And if you go out there thinking that you know everything and thinking that you can do whatever you want to people, you was wrong. You was definitely wrong. You have to have pride. You have to love yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then you will be open to good ideas on how to make it in this world. You know. Never let anyone influence you to drink, to shoot dope, smoke weed, smoke cigarettes. Please don't let a guy influence you to have sex. Young men, don't let a woman entice you or a girl entice you into having sex with her, um, and then she wound up pregnant and you don't want to be the father. A one night stand or one night of not thinking or a one night with you just using the wrong head to think can lead you in a lifetime of trouble. If you have a mother or father and you know that they love you, everyone know that they're loved. Sometimes we don't even want our parents' love. But you know if that parent love you, listen to them. Because you will not be a child forever. You will grow up and you will need a job. You know, you will need that education to get the kind of job that you want. Every job I ever had was either housekeeping or cashiering. And I still have calluses on the bottom of my feet to this day from standing hours upon hours, cleaning rooms, cleaning toilets, standing up, you know, cashiering. Listen. Listen to the people who love you. You know who love you. When my aunt said that to me, I don't hold her accountable for that. Because my aunt was an alcoholic. And maybe that's all she knew. You know. I don't think my aunt meant no harm. I just think in her mind she was trying to help me. You know, and at that time, it did help. I ate. I wore nice clothes. I can buy whatever I want. I had, at that time, one son. But guess what? Got pregnant again. You know, while doing my thing, making my money. And I wound up years later. Well, let me just put it like this, because I don't want to give it away in the book. It was just some devastating things that occurred that I found out as of this year. Something that, put it like this. My past still, my drinking still affects me to this day. Please, please listen to your parents. Listen to that voice inside of you. You know what's good and you know what's bad. You know what's right and you know what's wrong. And I really wish you the best. If you have any questions for me, I'm right here on YouTube. Leave a comment. I will make sure I get back with you. My job and my purpose in this life is to help. Is to help anybody. I don't want no man or no young girl or no young boy going down the same road that me and my sisters and brothers went through. That is a road that some people can't handle. Just because I handle it, which was barely, you might not be able to handle it at all. So don't put yourself in situations that can affect you even in your adulthood. And with that said, I want to wish you guys a happy new year and God bless you and have a drug-free day. Bye-bye.